What's up, Lot Movie Realists? Once again, I'm Matt, and of course, I'm here for a real review. And if you can't figure out what I'm here to talk to you about, then let's just talk about it right up front. It's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the final Indiana Jones adventure. I got to see this about a week and a half ago, and I've been so excited to talk about this with you guys. This is an Indiana Jones film that fans are gonna love. Look, everyone has their own opinions. Some people feel like the original three can't be touched. Some people feel like Temple of Doom is not as good as people make it out to be, and that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is better. However, either way, fans are hoping that this final adventure can reach the levels of at least The Last Crusade, because ultimately we want to see Indy go out on a high note. Well, I'm happy to report that this, in my opinion, is the third best film of the franchise. Now, what does that mean? I have it ranked as my three. My personal rankings are Last Crusade, even though I can admit Raiders is a far superior film. Last Crusade is my favorite Indy film. Raiders, and then I got the Dial of Destiny right there. It is an Indy adventure where it's like saying goodbye to an old friend, and ultimately how we deal with grief, which is a weird way to put it. When we find Indy, he's it's the day of his retirement. He is teaching in New York. He's in the middle of a divorce from Marion, and he just is kind of ready to get on with life and go on to that last chapter. Well, things go awry when his goddaughter, Helena Shaw, played by Phoebe Waller, is kind of, hey, I heard you and Dad knew about this thing and this, that, and the other. And she's trying to get him to tell her everything he knows about it and maybe come along with her on an adventure. Well, when things kind of get blown up due to an old adversary that we see in early on in the film, we get that typical Indiana Jones adventure. Well, I just want to say the opening 20 minutes of this film, the prologue, that is the best way to put it, where we have the young Indy. That is some of the best deep fake de-aging technology we have seen so far throughout film and television. I know that some people believe it peaked with The Mandalorian and Star Wars because of that Luke, or excuse me, that was Book of Boba Fett, because of that Luke episode where we saw almost a perfect carbon copy of a young Luke that looked incredibly believable. This tops it, in my opinion, because what makes it work here that it didn't make it work in Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett was the fact that you still had Harrison Ford providing the voice for Indy, because he still sounds like that. He's not like Mark Hamill, where he sounds more grizzled and whatnot. Here's the thing: Harrison Ford sounding more grizzled just sounds like an Indy. That's it. Age hasn't really hurt him as much as it has other actors in terms of voice. So when you get this sequence, it is visually gorgeous. It is funny. It is action-packed, and it is everything you expect from an Indiana Jones film. That was one of my favorite parts of the film. There's a character in this who is essentially Helena Short Round. He was awesome. Teddy is his name, and that is played by Ethan Isidore. He was hilarious. I had so much fun with him. And honestly, I had some fun with Helena. That you could tell that they're trying to possibly set up a spin-off with her. But it's a mileage may vary character. There are parts of her that you're like, oh, that's Indy-esque. I like it. And there are parts where you're just like, not vibing with that. However, I don't think she brings the film down at all. It is the first time we're getting introduced to this character. It's one of those things where you kind of have to get used to her and just accept that she's not there. The explanation for Mutt missing, it's there for people who want to know. It's there. I'm not going to go into details on it because that is a spoiler of sorts. But it's a very well thought out explanation that helps play into the character of Indy and why he is the way he is currently. But I also got to give a shout out to Mads Mikkelsen because Mads is like the villain to go to, the actor to go to if you want a villain. He is the villain of villains. I feel like he improved on Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts immensely. I felt like he was underutilized in Doctor Strange, but still a great villain. And I feel like he helps elevate this film as the villain because he's a Nazi who is trying to figure out a way to restore those glory days.
Hitler made mistakes, and with this, I will correct them all.
It's weird because while I do like Crystal Skull, I am one of the Crystal Skull defenders. I can't really defend Kate Blanchett's part in it as much. She's almost in an entirely different movie, where in this, Mads Mikkelsen feels grounded. What he wants makes sense in terms of his character. And yeah, I know you're thinking Nazis in the 60s? What? It's all explained and it all makes sense. And honestly, it's part of the fun. Indy versus Nazis. I feel like that's the winning recipe here because the top 3 films in this franchise has Indy going against Nazis. So between all that, I got to get on the direction of James Mangold. He has a story by credit in this. I know that this film was in development hell for years. Spielberg was supposed to direct it at one point, and then James Mangold came on, and when he came on, they reworked the script a little bit so he could tell his Indiana Jones film. And honestly, if for some reason down the line the decision were to be made to keep making Indiana Jones films without Harrison Ford, I feel like this is the film that proves it could possibly work. While I'm not sure it should be done, if you talked to me 5 years ago, I would tell you, yeah, sure, somebody else can play a young Indy. After this, I am a firm believer of no one can touch the Indiana Jones character, and I hope while I live that doesn't happen. But it's a nice return to form and a beautiful way to send off the character for Ford. The third act is gonna either pull people in or take them out. That is one thing I do have to say. But when you take everything into account, if I'm gonna rate this film 3.75 out of 5, it's not a perfect film, but it is a film that hits a lot of the right notes. It hits a lot of the nostalgia while still standing on its own. And while it may drag in a few parts, it ultimately is a great send-off to the character of Indy and why we love this franchise. So Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, be sure to check it out this week. Preview screenings start on Thursday evening, and it opens wide on Friday. So be sure to check it out. But before that, let me know what you think. Are you going to go see Dial of Destiny? Are you looking forward to it? If you've seen it already, let me know in the comments what you think. And remember to like and subscribe and follow to everything we do over here at Watt Real Entertainment, whether that be Watt Gaming over on Twitch, which is literally just twitch.tv/Watt Real Gaming, or anything else we're doing over here. So signing off, I'm Matt. This was another Real Review, and we'll see you next time. Peace.